It's not a bad thing to disagree. Unlike our politicians, our members of the House and Senate can't seem to come together on anything. There's a big sit-in yesterday on the House floor, and I'm glad that happened, really, because it shows that the Democrats are finally getting off their fat asses and standing up for something that we, the people, have been asking for. The majority of the people in this country are saying we need to have some modifications to our gun laws. I don't think most people are saying delete guns, take them away from anyone. I'm not in favor of that because, first of all, it's impossible. It is about as impossible as it is of shipping 12 million people out of this country that are not here legally. Okay, it's that complex. There's over 300 million guns that we know of in this country. So to say that take away the guns, it ain't going to happen. So get over your damn paranoia, take your medicine, get back on your meds, and calm down, because that's not going to happen. You know it and I know it, but you like to use that as an issue to further advance your bovine. And that's what's going down, really. I mean, plain and simple. Folks, I'm not making this up. It is what it is. So let's get beyond that. And let's deal with some real issues here. There needs to be some type of modification or additions to our laws. I think we need a universal law that covers all states to be the same. Because right now, I can live here in California and buy guns from other states. How do you think the guns are getting into Chicago? Because it's easy. There's a way of doing that. If I'm a gun owner sitting in North Carolina, any damn where, and somebody contacts me over the phone or even comes into my shop and they show me some ID and they have a license or identification for Illinois, then I shouldn't be able to sell them a gun. I mean, the background checks are obviously not working well, so shouldn't we look at that? Shouldn't we look at a person's mental status? Shouldn't we look at whether or not a person has been interviewed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI? And while Omar Mateen was cleared twice, obviously, hindsight 2020, this guy should have been on the list. Look at what happened. And every day, there's something else that's even more pathetic that comes out about this situation. So, Omar should have been on the list, damn it. That's my position, and I'm sticking with it. He should have been on the FBI list. He should not have been able to become a security guard. The guy's nuts. He had issues. Now his gay lover has come out, and he's saying, nah. It had nothing to do with being a terrorist. Although what he did was a terrorist act. But he's saying it was because something to do with HIV and some Latino, a Puerto Rican that apparently was spreading it around. That's nuts. How does that happen? Why? How could that possibly happen? Folks, that's what we got to deal with. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. Why? How does something like that happen in America? Because there are a lot of people out there with issues, major issues, and we're ignoring it. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop ignoring, and we got to clamp down and protect the American public. Period. That's it. I'm getting some files ready here to play for you. The Supreme Court was pretty active today. They handed down some rulings, and we're going to play some audio from those rulings that they've handed down today. Even though they're one person short, they're moving on and doing business, which is a good thing. You know, the world should not stop because there's one person shy on the bench. Although there's no legitimate reason for us not to have 9 justices right now, other than our senators that you sent to Washington are playing politics. And that bullshit needs to stop. Excuse my language, but I'm just sick of it. And I know you ought to be as well. And many of you are. We should be sick and tired of that. The people that we send to Washington, D.C. to enact, write, arrange, and produce laws are not doing their jobs. And I encourage you to, if you're not registered, please register to vote. If you don't know who to vote for, do some reading, do your due diligence. Use a number of sources to find out what's right, wrong, and indifferent about a candidate. Whether that person is running for the presidency, Senate, House, governor, mayor, local state representative or local senator, Congress, a city council person, dog catcher, mayor, judge, whatever the office is, take a little time. Don't be lazy. Do a little reading. Do a little background checking on these individuals that are running for these offices. Commit. Get involved. Be an informed voter. And don't listen to necessarily someone else's opinion in your household or your neighborhood or where you work, because they have an agenda. They're trying to push what they think through. You be an independent thinker. What's important to you? What are the issues at hand that are important to you? For example, here in California on the ballot in November, looks like we're going to have the opportunity to vote for or against recreational usage of marijuana. So when you go into that booth, you can say yay or nay. So do some research on what the impact is medically, socially, financially, and all the other things that comes with making marijuana legal for recreational use. Now, if you look at the state of Colorado, they legalized it. They removed the prohibition on the usage of marijuana for recreational purposes. So you can go to a store and buy it. You don't need a prescription from your doctor or anything. And since they've done this, financially, the state has a surplus of money. They've gone from being in the black or in the red, rather, to in the black. It's a rare occasion when black means positive, but we'll talk about that some other time. So, a state like California that's bleeding, it's upside down, not making the kind of money it needs to provide the services and keep the state running. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Now, you might say, well, okay, Lee, they legalized marijuana today, so what's next? Cocaine, crack, some of the other drugs? No, I'm not suggesting that. And I haven't done all of the reading that I need to do, but I will between now and November 8th as it relates to the impact of marijuana for recreational purposes. So does that mean that you can go out and sit on the beach or in the park and smoke a joint and not get arrested? I'm not sure what that means as it relates to it becoming legal here in the state of California. But I will do some reading and I will share my findings with you. But I encourage you to do the same. Even if you're not a voter here in California, at least be aware of it because it's probably coming your way in your state. I predict certainly in the next 15, 20 years, chances are marijuana will be no big deal, just like once upon a time, alcohol was illegal. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to get into the business legally. Although I believe that the little guy will get shut out of the game because it's big, huge money involved in the sale of marijuana. It's huge. Huge, 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 huge. So many of the major corporations that we know today that have the ability to write a check for millions of dollars to ramp up and get going, they'll be in it first. I mean, that's just the way it goes with everything in life. If it's hot, the big boys play. If it's not, they stay away. It's just that simple. But I don't want to discourage anyone who would like to be into the game. Check it out. Maybe you can get in at a low level and start a business that can be lucrative for you. Change your life completely and the life of your family members. I don't use the product, but I don't have a problem with you if you want to use it. And if it helps you from a medical standpoint, makes your life more comfortable, if you're suffering from pain or some other ailments, and if marijuana helps you, then why shouldn't you have access to it? Because many of the medicines that you're taking have far greater side effects and devastating effects than that of marijuana. If you go to a doctor and the doctor tells you the prescription I'm about to give you is going to shorten your life because it has side effects, and in fact, to be honest with you, it's a form of poison. Because what it's going to do over a long period of time, it's going to deteriorate or impact or destroy your liver and or kidney. If a doctor told you that you're probably going to cut off 5 to 7 or maybe 10 years of your life if you take this medicine, however, it's going to make you feel a little better right now, what would you do? Or it could say, I can give you a prescription. You can go get some marijuana and smoke this, and it's not going to kill your liver and kidney. What would you do? So now you have an alternative. I think I'd smoke the joint first and see how it goes. what you got to lose. But if you're telling me that this medicine is going to shut down 2 organs in my body, and I'm not going to die from the pain that I'm experiencing or whatever the difficulty is, I have a choice. I can live with the pain, don't take the medicine, or not even smoke the marijuana. But you have a choice. And hey, it's your choice. You make the choice. But for me, I'm more about living than dying. I want to be around as long as I can to see my grandchildren become adults and do what they want to do, and I'll do the best that I can to help them realize their dreams and goals, and my children and all of that. So I think I would opt to not to take the poison unless there was absolutely no alternative. Okay. Let's talk about what happened today in at least 6 things that the Supreme Court has ruled on. Now, in the state of Arizona, they ruled on a case there. We'll hear on that. We'll hear the results of this legal injection, which became very controversial from an inmate a year ago. Apparently, may have died in pain. Something went wrong. Reminds me of that movie. What was it called? The Last Mile or something like that. And they electrocuted this guy, and this racist security guard didn't follow the process, and they burned the guy. Didn't put the sponge on his head properly, or didn't have water in it, or something to that effect. So this guy is like burning. It's smoke and fire coming from his head, and the people there that were to watch this thing were terrified from it. So it sounds like a similar situation. So the Supreme Court has handed down a ruling on that. We're going to hear the audio on that. There was an inmate who happens to be black who was accused of murdering an elderly white woman and has been in prison for years. And the Supreme Court ruled on that one. They also ruled on same-sex marriage, the voting guidelines or districting in Arizona, and the EPA emissions limitations, which they're already calling that as a setback to the Obama administration, saying that he overstepped his position on that. So we'll hear audio on all of those things, and coming up here in just a few moments on The Power of Voices. This is the Lee Michaels Show. We are on the air live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. Then this show is being recorded video-wise and audio-wise. Then we put it up for podcasts. The audio is available within an hour or two after the show on our website at thepowerofvoices.com and on SoundCloud. The video is posted right now on Facebook, and it's also being streamed through YouTube. And as soon as the broadcast is over, you can go back and watch it if you missed the entire show. So we tried to make it as easy as possible to meet your lifestyle and keeping you up to date as to what's going on the Lee Michaels Show and a number of the other shows here on our network. So you can go to thepowerofvoices.com to hear the audio feed. And you can go to facebook.com/thepowerofvoices. And you can see that video broadcast right now. We also share it on a number of other social media pages, so it's all over the place. Twitter, Facebook, about 5 or 6 different pages on Facebook. U.S. Talk Network, USA Talk Network, On Air One, World Talk Network. So we're syndicated all over the place. So you got to be blind in one eye and can't see out of the other if you can't find us. Thepowerofvoices.com. Okay, so let's jump into the Supreme Court rulings and compliments of CNN. We've got some audio describing what the rulings were all about. And the first one we're going to go to is the one about affirmative action. There's some controversy about the University of Texas. There was a white woman that filed a lawsuit saying she was discriminated upon against her because she's white. And a number of non-white people were getting admitted to the college, and she was rejected because she was white. Well, the Supreme Court didn't quite see it that way. And here's their ruling.
The High Court upheld the affirmative action program at the University of Texas. The justices said that race can be taken into consideration as one factor during the college admissions process at the University of Texas. This is the second time that this case has made it to the High Court, and it revolves around the student Abigail Fisher, a white woman who sued the University of Texas, claiming discrimination because she was white. Under the Texas Affirmative Action Program, 10% of the top students in their class are automatically admitted to any public university in Texas. And then on top of that, race is taken into consideration for students admitted after the 10% is accepted. And so the student Abigail Fisher was not accepted to the University of Texas, and she claimed it was because she was white. But today, the High Court is saying that this program is constitutional under the Equal Protection Clause. This is an opinion written by Justice Kennedy, and there were two dissents by Justice Thomas as well as Justice Alito, but certainly a big win for those who favor affirmative action.
Well, there you go. So affirmative action is still in play nationwide. Now, there's another college in North Carolina. I think it was the University of North Carolina. They were waiting in the wings because they had a similar practice there. So they can continue doing business as usual. And I was concerned about that one because the court is not completely, all the seats are not filled, is one short. It's very easy to get a tie, a 4-4 vote. But the justices, seem to be ruling pretty fairly and not coming up with a political tie. So that's a good thing. Continue working in the best interests of the people to the justices of the Supreme Court. Job well done. And sometimes we're not going to agree with their rulings. Okay? It's going to happen. You win some, you lose some. Now, the next ruling that we're going to play here is the ruling from the Supreme Court on the lethal injection. Now, if you're not familiar with this one, about a year ago, they gave an injection to a person on death row, and there were complaints about it, saying that, it looked like he was suffering. Now, some people say, well, damn, he was a criminal. He should have suffered. He caused pain and agony and discomfort for whoever he did damage to, so why shouldn't he? Some people feel that way. And I can almost understand people feeling that way when you've lost a loved one, if someone murdered someone in your family. You might say, to hell with them. They should go down the way my loved one went down. And I can certainly understand that. I don't know how I would react because I have not been in that situation. But it's not hard for me to conceive or to understand how some people would feel that way. My gut is, I would say, I don't understand why you killed my loved one. Shame on you. You will meet your judgment day. someday. I think that's how I would react to it. But let's hear the audio on this one. The Supreme Court ruled today, and here are the results.
Today, the High Court, in a majority opinion, 5-4, cut along ideological lines, ruled that the controversial drug used in lethal injection, midazolam, does not violate the Constitution. Challengers to this drug says that it equates to cruel and unusual punishment and that it's a violation of the Constitution's Eighth Amendment. But today, the justices said in this majority that the petitioners failed to establish merits of claim that the use of this drug violates the Eighth Amendment. Also, it talked about the compelling evidence that the other side brought forth, saying that a certain dose of this drug guarantees virtual certainty an inmate will not feel pain. But there was a fiery dissent from Justice Breyer on this, and in fact, he actually raised the question of whether the High Court should take up the death penalty again, the constitutionality of the death penalty. And here's what Justice Breyer said in his dissent. He says, "For the reasons I have set forth in this opinion, I believe it highly likely that the death penalty violates the Eighth Amendment. At the very least, the court should call for a full briefing on this basic question." Important to note, this case was not about the constitutionality of the death penalty, but Justice Breyer raising that question here today with this ruling upholding the use of this controversial drug that's used in lethal injection. It was used during the botched execution of Clayton Lockett, as you may remember, Carol. That was a little over a year ago, and that is partly what led to this case making it up to the High Court.
Oh, well, you may agree or disagree with that ruling. But the Supreme Court says this drug is okay. And if he suffered, too bad, so sad. My nose runs for you. And what's interesting is one of the justices said, so maybe we should look at the whole thing of whether we should kill people at all. That was interesting. I don't think anybody was expecting that one. Whether or not it's going to happen, we don't know. And I don't know if the Supreme Court can just on its own decide to look at something or whether someone has to bring it to the court. Same-sex marriage. The court ruled on that one today. Seems like they've been pretty busy, huh? So like 5 or 6 different things they ruled on and came out with it today. So here's the ruling on the same-sex marriage.
Let's start with a bit of a divide among the Republicans over what to do in the wake of this landmark Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage. If you listen to all of them say it's very important now to respect religious liberty. That is, if you are a Christian church, if you are an evangelical, maybe if you're just in private business and you object to this ruling, how do you exempt yourself? How do you refuse to comply with this? But listen to Governor Mike Huckabee here, the former Arkansas governor. Christian conservatives are key to his support. Does he go over the line with this?
If they have a conscientious objection, I think they should be excused. I'm not sure that every governor and every attorney general should just say, well, it's the law of the land because there's no enabling legislation.
Can get it for somebody in private business, and this is a sensitive issue. And if those who support same-sex marriage should respect the religious beliefs and the moral beliefs of people who disagree with them. But a governor or an attorney general, they put their hand on a Bible, right? They promise to uphold the laws of the land. How does a governor or an attorney general opt out when, like it or not, this is the highest court in the land and they have said this is the law of the land?
I don't think they can. I think that's opening themselves up to lawsuits. It just doesn't seem feasible. I don't think it doesn't seem like you're going to see a lot of governors doing that because it is the law of the land. But, Mike Huckabee has a certain constituency that he is looking to and he's looking to cultivate, and they're the ones who aren't happy about this ruling. So, he's just speaking to his people.
Is it credible cultivating, if you will, if you're telling people that I think that people in leadership positions should ignore the law?
Well, on the political front, it's his only avenue to the. he's a long shot candidate for the White House. This is his only path. This is what he's going to do. You know, we saw a few hot takes from the Republican field after this ruling, including Bobby Jindal saying, well, we should probably do away with the Supreme Court. So some of these guys are obviously running to the right. That's their only path. The ones who have a general election shot, or a real big one, the Jeb Bushes, the Marco Rubios, say, I don't like this, but now it's the law of the land, and we just sort of have to accept it. And as you say, we have to respect the religious liberty of Americans.
The Ohio Governor, John Kasich, who gets into the race next month, he's low in the polls right now, but he is one of those, I'll call it the establishment camp, who say, I may not like this personally, but...
And I think everybody needs to take a deep breath to see how this evolves. But I know this, I mean, religious institutions, religious entities, you know, like the Catholic Church, you know, they need to be honored as well. And I think there's an ability to strike a balance.
Ability to strike a balance, a more sober tone there, a more cautious tone there from John Kasich. There have been some analysis over the weekend that maybe this is an opportunity for the Republicans, that if they can put these divisive cultural issues behind them, they can focus on national security and the economy in the 2016 election, and that's more favorable ground to them. That would be true if they could get across the quicksand without getting stuck in the quicksand. But is there any reason to believe that when you put 10 or if there's 2 debates, all 15 or 16 of them, that they won't get stuck in this? I mean, Mitt Romney didn't want to say self-deport in the last campaign, but because they were having the fight over immigration, that's where he found himself tugged. Is there any reason to believe with a Huckabee, a Cruz, a Jindal, and others in the debates that everyone can just say, let's not debate these issues, let's not go right and maybe drive other people away?
I would be shocked if this doesn't come up in a debate, because you have all of these people vying to be on stage A, because there are going to be all of these tiers, because they can't put all of these people on the stage at this point. So I think that because there are these pockets, there's the establishment candidate, there's a conservative candidate, you are going to have the conservative who's going to be the most bombastic and try to get the most attention. And gay marriage is one way that they can do that.
But, you know, it's not 2004 anymore. 2004, when George W. Bush was running for re-election, he came out in favor of a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. It's not 2004 anymore. The dynamics on this issue have changed. So, no, they're not going to get. It's not going to be an easy path across the quicksand, because it's going to be in the debates. But the establishment ones don't want any part of this. They don't want this in the race.
I mean, what's there to debate? If the Supreme Court has ruled that same-sex marriage is okay, then it's time for us to move on. What's the next damn issue? Come on, people. Stop being knuckle-dragging, do-nothing politicians. Let it go. Let's deal with some more important things than trying to dictate to people who they can marry or not. I mean, really? Really? People still want to debate that? Like you're going to be able to stop it. It's like saying you're going to stop people from buying guns. You're going to stop people from coming into this country illegally. We can't do any of those. We can't do anything. But say no, we're damn good at that. Damn good. And that's getting old. That's old. That's older than my butt. And I'm old. But see, these are the things that people get hung up on. I call it nickel and dime bovine. It's not that important to me. And I think to a lot of people it's not that important. I don't care what your religious beliefs are. I don't care how you hate. Some things just ain't none of your damn business. We live in America, a land of freedom. When will you accept that? Oh, when it's convenient for you. I'm sorry, I forgot. Supreme Court ruled on another interesting thing. There was some controversy and some naysayers, and some people were pro changing some of the districting in the state of Arizona. And the court sent out their rule today. Here it is.
Well, we're just learning that the High Court ruled that an independent voter-created commission is upheld. Essentially, these commissions, it was created in Arizona to draw congressional districts intended to curb partisan gerrymandering. The High Court held today that these commissions are okay, essentially. The Arizona legislature had argued that the commissions take away its power to be a part of the congressional redistricting, this gerrymandering. Under the Constitution, it said it's allowed this power, and these commissions conflict with that. Number of states have actually created these independent voter-created commissions as a result, and today the High Court siding with them. And essentially what this does is give the citizens a greater role in the process of drawing congressional districts. And here's what Justice Ginsburg said in this 5-4 majority opinion, with Kennedy joining the liberals. She said, partisan gerrymanders, this court has recognized, are incompatible with democratic principles. She goes on to say the people of Arizona turned to the initiative to curb the practice of gerrymandering and thereby to ensure that members of Congress would have an habitual recollection of their dependence on the people.
So now that ruling can be good and it can be bad. It can go both ways, because in their reshaping of the district is, it could affect how a vote could go. And it also impacts on how many congressional members and, in certain districts, who they cover and all of that. So pay attention to these things. It's very important. It goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show about doing your due diligence when it's time for you to vote. Don't wait until the last minute to start your due diligence, because you're going to get busy and you forgot. So start now. Start now. Do that now. Okay, did we do this one? The Supreme Court ruled in favor of a black inmate who was accused of killing an elderly white woman. No, we haven't done that one yet. I'm going to do that next. And I've kind of set it up here a little bit for you. There was a trial, and this man was found guilty. But after the fact, after he was found guilty and sent to prison for killing an elderly white woman, the defense attorneys found out that the prosecutors had a process of eliminating people who happened to be black from being a juror. So apparently there were no black members on the jury. So when you hear the statement, you're to be judged by your peers, this man didn't have a fair trial because none of his peers were on the jury. Not one. At least that's how I understand that. So the Supreme Court handed down a ruling today, and this is how it went.
The High Court just issued a major opinion on a case involving racial discrimination and jury selection. In a 7-1 vote, the High Court ruled in favor of a black defendant who was charged with killing an elderly white woman. This black defendant right here claimed that there was racial discrimination in the jury selection in his case. I want to go straight to Jeffrey Toobin for more analysis on this. How significant is this opinion, Jeffrey?
Well, this is a case about discrimination by prosecutors in jury selection. And what made this case so unusual is that well after the verdict, the defense was able to obtain actual notes that prosecutors took during jury selection, indicating very clearly that they were focused on the race of the prospective jurors and eliminated all the black possible jurors in the case. The court, almost unanimously, except with Justice Clarence Thomas, who dissented, decided that this was clear evidence of discrimination, and they have overturned his murder conviction.
Wow. Can you believe it? These kind of things go on still today. When will America become fair? In every aspect. I hope before I die, I can see that go away. Just be fair. Do the right thing. That's how I was raised. My mom, my dad, my sisters, uncles, aunts, cousins. That's the way we were raised. We were told, be fair. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't be a jackass. Don't go around being hate-filled. It's not necessary. It's not good. It doesn't promote good humans. Come on, America. Keep changing for the better. That's a major change. That's great. When you walk into a court, whether you're guilty or not, I believe you should have a fair trial. If you're found guilty, oh well, got to do the time, whatever the punishment is. But if you're not guilty, every ounce of every good effort should be done to prove your innocence. And you should not have cards stacked against you. That's not fair. It isn't. It's just not fair. It's not right. It's not just. And we need to stop that. Need to stop it. So I'm happy that the court ruled in that favor. That's a good thing. Sorry about that. Moving my camera around here. Didn't mean to upset the apple cart like that. So, busy day at the court, at the Supreme Court. The nation's highest court handed down some significant rulings today. I really wished that our members of Congress would work with the same amount of energy and effort and stop playing politics. Because it's old, bro. Time for a change. We need to stop this and get to the work of the people. Heal this country. Pay attention to what's really going on, what's really important. Jobs, higher income, safety in our streets. If the authorities did a better job, maybe we wouldn't be sitting here having this damn discussion about gun rights. If we had more effort put into investigating people, I don't know how many FBI agents we have, but we probably don't have enough, especially in the world that we live in today. So, that being said, if you think that you could be a good investigator and you meet all the qualifications, go check it out. You guys ever watch that show called Quantico, which is an area just outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia? When I go down 95, I see the signs Quantico. It's over on the east side of 95. I always get excited because I know what's going on over there. A lot of action, man. A lot of training. Some real skullduggery going down. I mean, real. On the real. And no playground up there. But we need more agents, I think. We need more qualified people that can dig in and do the research and be good investigators and be fair. You'll hear me use that word often, fair. What's fair? A lot of people don't understand fairness. And that's a shame. Because if you're not fair, sometimes you're going to shortchange yourself and get yourself in a tizzy. It's true. All right, what else we're going to talk about today? Let's see what's happening in the headlines. Let's do that. Headlines, breaking news. Let's see. Down in Houston, man arrested in connection with Monday's fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old. Get out of here. What's that all about? Grown-ass man stabbing a 14-year-old. Now, there's some bad 14-year-olds out there, but I'm not sure what this one is all about. Okay. Person arrested with weapons at a Milwaukee area technical college. See? And what the hell are you doing with a gun at a college? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Everybody should be able to have and carry a gun wherever they want to go. My bad. Shame on me for thinking about that. Did you hear that the officer who was driving the paddy wagon when the young man was in the back, not strapped down, bounced around, and died, was found not guilty? Do you think any of these officers would be found guilty? Did they not do anything wrong? 424-227-9461. I'd love to hear some feedback on that one. What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough case for the prosecutors because hard to prove. It's the word of the cops saying what they did or didn't do. Unless there's some physical evidence or some eyewitnesses or some video to say something different, then chances are these guys are going to get off. Did they do something wrong? I think so. I don't know what this guy did to be treated in the way he was treated. It's not like he was a mass murderer. What did he do? I don't know. Troubling stuff. Led Zeppelin wins the Stairway to Heaven jury trial. Claims song copied in 1968. Concern, yes. And not only that, his mom broke some laws because she was irresponsible and not having those guns locked up so her child who had a mental condition wouldn't have access to it.
So just
let's talk about responsibility and liabilities.
Just because you have a law doesn't mean it's not going to get broken. There's a law. There's a law taking of the life of a human being.
Yeah.
People break that every day with impunity. We here in the city yesterday, out in the suburbs, we had a sheriff officer get shot.
Right.
So.
And what are the conditions, the circumstances?
Well, all that stuff is being fleshed out right now.
Right.
Still early in that investigation.
Right. I'm glad you said it that way. Because we have to give time to go through that process.
But the fact remains that laws were broken.
Of course.
The criminals do not respect the law.
Okay,
So we should be allowed
I understand that, and I agree with you on that. So we have to make it more difficult for the criminals to have access to guns, knives, and any other things, bombs, to cause destruction to honest, hardworking, innocent people.
In a free society,
when are we going to deal with that?
In a free society, you can't do that.
See, I don't accept that. I call that bovine. That's called kicking the can down the road or turning your head, ignoring things like that. We can't ignore that. Come on, man.
Well, the bigger picture is: do we live with freedom and liberty, or
man,
do we live under tyranny and oppression?
you're about to make me say to hell with your freedoms, because you're ignoring, and you don't want to deal with the problem. We got to deal with the problem, man. Let's go to the core of the problem. The
problem is: do we live in freedom or do we live in tyranny?
I'm not going to answer that question again. The problem is no one wants to be responsible in dealing with the issues. I don't accept that we as intelligent humans can't come up with solutions to these problems. No.
Wait a minute.
We're not doing that.
Wait a minute.
We're not paying attention, dude.
Who said that we're intelligent?
Well, some of us are, and some of us are not. The ones that seem to don't have the intelligence seem to be in control and in power and in positions that need to make decisions, and those decisions are not being made.
In the White House, I agree.
Well, one might say that, but I think there's 500 and some other cats in the House and the Senate that they don't look too damn smart either.
And common sense doesn't help either.
Well,
what
common sense.
Do you use the crawfish for bait or do you cook it?
Common sense. I suggest to you that many of the people that are making the laws and what have you are not exercising common sense.
They're not supposed to. They're supposed to apply the laws on the books.
Oh, come on, spy boy, you're being silly and naive now, because I'm sitting here watching a video right now of two cops got a lady down on the ground. He's kneeing her in the side, punching her, and you're telling me that these two strong, gun-toting, and now he's tasing the woman. You're telling me that these two men, he's tasing all of them in the belly or down a leg, down at the ankle. You're telling me these two grown-ass, fully trained cops can't do the job without causing this kind of discomfort and beating this woman down like that? It's a woman.
Maybe if she had obeyed police orders, she wouldn't be in that position.
Maybe you're right. And I don't know all the I don't.
She was combative.
No, she was. Come on, man. Come on, man.
You know why she was being arrested?
It doesn't matter.
Why was she being arrested?
I tell you what. Let me ask you this question: if you or I had beat a woman down like that, we'd be in jail, right or wrong. But because this guy's got a badge on, he can use unreasonable force on a woman?
That's what we pay them to do.
No, we don't pay them to abuse the public. We don't do that.
We don't.
That's not their job.
We don't pay them to abuse the public. We pay them to do a job.
And I'm sitting here watching this tape. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I don't want to operate in a vacuum with misinformation. I'm going to play the audio here so people can hear what I'm watching. Okay, and then I'll try to find some background on it to see what this is all about.
Put your hands behind your back.
Put your hands behind her back. Her hands are behind her back. There's one cop holding her.
She's fighting.
No. No, man, this is wrong. This, what I'm seeing here, he's kneeing the woman in her side, punching her in the side and back, kidney area.
If you simply complied with the officer's orders.
They already had control of her. One cop had her hands behind her back. This other guy's yelling, "Put your hands behind your back," but they were already there.
She was hysterical.
This is wrong, man. You say you saw this video?
Yeah, I saw it.
And you're telling me that you don't see anything inappropriate here by the cops?
I don't know enough about the video to know whether or not
What you see, what you saw, are you telling me you didn't see anything that you thought was questionable?
I saw a combative suspect.
She was not combative. They had her hands behind her back, spy boy. All the cop had to do was put her in handcuffs at that point. But this other cop rolls over and then he starts, manhandling her and then throwing her on the ground. Was that necessary?
Don't spit on me. Was it necessary to bite and spit on the police?
I didn't see her bite and spit on him.
He said it.
Okay, well, maybe that happened before the cameras were rolling. I don't know. But what I'm saying to you...
But you can't tell a lot going on in the video.
This is true. This is true.
There's no context at all. No backstory as to why that was occurring. And so left with all of that information without any information.
Right. Okay.
How do you draw the conclusion to whether or not he was?
I'm saying based on what I see in this video, okay, and that's all we have to go on. What I'm seeing here in this particular video, when they're telling her to put your hands behind your back, her hands are already behind her back. There's one cop that hold on. There's one cop that seems to have control over her. Another cop rolls over and begins to knee her in the back, and they throw her down on the ground. They're on top of her. Are you telling me that everything after that was necessary? Was it necessary for them to tase her multiple times? 7 or 8, maybe 10 times? Up and down her leg, her back, her butt, her side? Are you kidding me?
I'm going to tell you this again. I don't know. I don't know what context that was happening in. And
it doesn't matter what you see in this video.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It matters a lot. It matters a lot.
Let's assume for a second that maybe she
was a gun runner. Everybody wants to take guns off the street. Here's a gun runner.
Come on. No, see? Spy boy. That dog won't hunt, man. Even if she spit on the cop, which is a despicable thing to do, to spit on anybody. If she bit the cop, then the cop needs to look at what he did to allow her to get that close to him for somebody to bite you. So I'm saying at that point, maybe his training is flawed. Maybe he was acting emotionally and not professionally to handle a woman in a situation like this. This woman didn't have a gun, a knife, a baseball bat, or anything, any kind of weapon that would endanger these two cops. And then there was a third cop who looked like some type of captain, lieutenant, sergeant, something, because he had a different kind of attire on. Looked like a top guy. He's standing off to the side. So how many cops does it take to handle a 125-pound woman without causing serious physical damage to her? I don't see any reason why they should have tased this woman. I'm suggesting to you, some cops go too far.
And Lee, how many people have you apprehended?
Nobody. I'm not a cop.
Thank you.
But I know what I know.
How would you know what it takes to apprehend somebody? Somebody who's not cooperating.
I have a lot of cop friends, number one, and they have said to me that my assertion, my thoughts here are correct in some situations. Some cops just go too far. And that's what we need to deal with. We need to make sure that these cops are doing what they're supposed to do by the law.
So the criminals
and again, it goes back to what I said earlier in the show, being fair and objective and doing the right thing all of the time. Not when you want to.
Is fair objective or subjective?
Both.
Gee. Wiz. No, no one. You know, Lee, you represent the middle class, the upper middle class of black folks. You're very intelligent. But see, Wiz, man, you can't sit there and believe any of that bovine you just spit out because the criminals win. No wonder we have such
No,
crime in
man.
the black
No. The criminals can't continue to win. The criminals do win a lot, but sometimes we're not talking about criminals. Criminals. I'm seeing a woman. Maybe she is a criminal. Maybe she did something really bad. Okay, we don't know that. We don't know the full background of this particular video. However, even if
dealing with her.
Listen, they had her under control. Her hands were.
You don't know what happened prior to that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Been wielding a knife or
If
something.
you've got my hands behind my back, all you have to do is put me in handcuffs at that point. Okay? How much damage can I do to two fully trained, I assume, police officers and as a female? They had her on the ground, knees in her back, punching her in her side, kneeing her in her side. Two full-grown officers. Why did they need to tase her multiple times? She's on the ground, hands behind the back, knees in the side, punches in the back. Come on, spy boy.
She was cussing the whole time.
So what?
She wasn't cooperating.
And so the cops are okay when they curse at you. They can get on the ground, motherfucker. They can say that. That's okay. They're exempt from. They're exempt from that. But when somebody's beating you in your side, somebody's beating you in the side and your back and got knees in your back, and you supposed to do nothing. You can't say, "Ouch, you're hurting me, asshole." You can't say that.
They were equal.
That's not being combative. That means you're in pain and agony, and somebody's not treating you fair.
The police badge means nothing.
Of course it does. Of course.
It means nothing.
I respect and appreciate the cops. I want I want the cops to do their jobs and do it fairly and do it with. No, I do. Within. Hold on. Let me finish. Within the law, I want them to do their job. That way, I don't have to worry about having to go get a permit to wear a sidearm or a concealed weapon because I have faith in our justice system and the cops to do a good job. So I don't want to. No. Let me finish. I don't want to handcuff the cops. I don't want to take away their power, but I want them to operate within those guidelines. And when I see stuff like this, I have an issue with that.
You want them to deliver hot chocolate, ice cream, donuts?
No. See, now you're being
flowers.
Now you're being crazy. No, we're not talking. We're not talking about being a wimp and succumbing to criminal acts. I'm saying be enforced.
White glove service.
No, they're supposed to serve and protect.
I can see it now. Will you please get in this car?
No.
Will you please,
no.
Please do
no.
Please,
I'm not saying any of that. Now, see,
please get into the car.
You want to take it to the extreme. I know how you roll, spy boy, but that's not anywhere near what I'm saying, and you know it.
Pretty please, with sugar on top.
Well, if that works, okay, what's the rush? Why do you have to go to the extreme, especially when you're trying to apprehend a woman? I bet they wouldn't treat their sister or mother that way. Why they want to treat mine that way?
If that was my daughter, that was the first ass whooping she was going to get in the day. The second one, when she's going to get when she get home. God damn it! I don't play that.
You gonna beat her down again?
I'll beat her butt again.
No, you wouldn't.
You respect authority.
Yeah, okay.
You don't fight.
Well,
what are you fighting for?
I didn't see.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I didn't see this woman
in the first place.
I didn't see this woman fighting. So, let me ask you a question. We got to get ready to get out of here. Rodney King, did he deserve what he got?
Rodney King deserved every whooping that he got that day. You know why?
Goodbye, Pop. Goodbye, Spy Boy. I didn't even want to hear you try to justify that ass whipping. You can call tomorrow, and we can continue that discussion. But I can't believe you said that. All right, I'm out. This is the Lee Michaels Show on the Power of Voices. Another tough day, ending up with the crackhead Spy Boy. Spy Boy, you need your own show, boy, because I tell you, I don't know if you're getting any listeners, but maybe you will. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time on thepowerofvoices.com. Have a wonderful day. Be safe and watch out for those crazy cops.
Food for the mind, body, and soul. Thepowerofvoices.com.
21st Century Grandparent is a show you're not going to want to miss. It's all about the new grandparent out there. We dance, we date, we go on vacations, we still have so much fun. Our grandkids want to hang out with us. Come on over and check out the show so that you can find out who this new 21st Century Grandparent really is. Right here on thepowerofvoices.com.